You're listening to the NVus Alien Podcast with your host, Heather Woodward, an award-winning psychic, supernatural author, and lover of all things true crime. On this show, we're going to deep dive into topics that don't usually see the light of day. The spooky, the weird, the macabre, the paranormal, and of course, aliens. Sit back, grab a cup of tea, and let's get on with the show.
I thought we'd start. Has everyone heard about the new video that's come out regarding the Patterson-Gimlin footage?
The documentary? Yeah.
There's a new one?
Yeah, so there's a new documentary that's coming out. It was supposed to release, I think, a few weeks ago, but then it was released at South by Southwest. And it got so much buzz around it that now they were going to just release it for free on streaming. So now they're going to hold off so that it could be like released for a fee or like a purchase. But it's alleged by people who have seen the movie that there is recording in there that shows what basically seems to be a rehearsal for the footage that we're all familiar with. So people are expecting that when we do see it, it's going to blow the lid off what we know of this footage to be showing us like a true Bigfoot. So you guys hadn't heard about that?
No, I heard there was something coming up in the Bigfoot world.
Yeah, that's it. It's called Capturing Bigfoot.
Oh, okay. Because I was looking up something about Bigfoot the other day, and there was supposed to be some new Gimlin footage or something.
Yep.
I was trying to figure out what it was, but that's all I heard about it. I didn't hear that it was actually put together.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's causing all sorts of controversy now because they're saying that what's in this documentary is basically going to put the flesh and blood stuff to death.
Yeah.
Final nail in the coffin for the flesh and blood people.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Now, we haven't seen it, but this is just what people who have seen it or have heard from people who have seen it are saying.
Does this have anything to do with a Gimlin being hypnotized just recently?
I don't think so. No.
Because he went under hypnosis and there's footage.
I feel like I heard about that.
And I was like, why would they put him under hypnosis? Who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would that
Like you have the
do?
footage.
That's what I thought too. I was like, why? What?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is going to be big. It's causing a lot of controversy right now, and people are flipping their lids because everything that they thought they knew and everything that they were convinced that was true since they were kids, that's all getting upended now.
Where did they get this footage though?
It's from Patterson-Gimlin. The way I've heard it is that it seems to be a rehearsal for the footage that everyone's familiar with. But I'm not sure what it's showing. Is it showing a person in a suit? And it's confirming that it's actually a person in a suit? Is it showing something else that kind of helps blow this all out of the water?
Yeah, and Robert Gimlin is the only remaining survivor. He hasn't said anything about it yet.
No.
Like, he hasn't opened his mouth at all, so it'll be interesting.
I'm reading about it right now. It says that it's information from Patterson's son.
It could be, yeah.
This will be interesting.
Yeah. I'm really curious to see it.
So what was the question?
So I was wondering if you had heard about it and how, if it changes like anything for you in what we've already believed regarding Bigfoot.
I don't know. What do you think, Stephanie?
I'm not a Bigfoot person, so I have no set ideas to start with.
For me, it doesn't matter because I think Bigfoot is something a lot weirder than an ape in the woods.
Yeah.
There's talk of portals. He travels through portals and he cloaks, and there's talk about Bigfoot being a ghost. I think I keep saying he, but I think it is something totally different. I don't think it's flesh and blood, so it doesn't change anything for me. But I could see how it could affect these guys that go in the woods and they're monster hunters, right? And they're looking to find evidence. This turns their whole world upside down.
Yeah.
They have to look for different kinds of evidence now if what they're saying is true. And this upends the whole flesh and blood thing. Who cares if these guys put together a video of someone in a gorilla suit, right? Who cares? They're just giving it form at that point, back in, what was it, 1967? You're just taking something that people are already saying they've seen, and you're giving it life on film.
It's so funny that we're talking about this because I just did an interview with somebody who wrote a book about, what's it called? The High Strangeness of Bigfoot. And
Yeah.
they were talking about how they're using it's the same protocol that you use for UFOs, the
Yeah.
C5, but they're using it for Bigfoot because their premise is that Bigfoot is either
That's, yeah.
transdimensional or there's something more to it. And so why would we go out with sticks and look for it? Why not move into the higher consciousness and find it there? And they call it CE6.
I think we just talked to them too.
Oh, really? High Strangeness
Yeah.
of Bigfoot, was it Ron?
Yeah.
Ron Meyer
and Mark.
and
Yeah, Ron
Mark,
Meyer.
Mark
Yeah.
Reeder.
How funny. Yeah.
That is funny.
When did you guys talk to them?
last weekend, I believe.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. It was
Me
a really
too.
good interview. Yeah. Yeah.
That's so funny.
That's really funny.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I talked to them last Friday or Saturday or something like that.
Yeah.
They actually read the book too.
I haven't read the book yet.
It's pretty good. I like it. There's some things, as an investigator, every investigator has their own style. So there's going to be things that you're going to read in the book that, like, maybe that's not how I would have done it, but that's their investigation. That's their style of investigation.
I've never really thought of Bigfoot as flesh and blood, so to me, it's not even an issue. Do I believe in the Patterson-Gimlin footage? Absolutely. I've always thought it was real, and I don't know why I feel like it's real, but I do. I think this is so interesting, this idea that it's transdimensional. Or I asked, is it transdimensional? And he said, who cares? And I said, what do you mean? And he said, it doesn't matter what it is. It just matters that you're experiencing it. And it's more about the experience than it is anything. So then I'm like, why are certain people experiencing it? And he said, that's a really great question because I don't know. But I think I've always just thought of Bigfoot as that way. So to me, not even a question. But I do know Bigfoot people who swear it's flesh and blood. I was on a panel, what was it, like a year ago or something? Steph was there, and
Last fall. Yeah.
yeah, last fall we were on a panel, and how many people on that panel still think it's flesh and blood? And there was like the majority of them, I think.
Oh yeah, it's 80% of the community still thinks it's an ape in the woods. Yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised because I think there was one or two other people besides me that thought that it was different. But then like Coleman, who I know, who I've interviewed, he started off as a flesh and blood person, and then as he started to actually go out and do Bigfoot stuff, he started saying there's something to this.
It's weirder than, yeah.
Yeah, and he's actually doing a presentation on why it's not flesh and blood at the convention this year. And I think that's funny because within a year he has changed his mind completely.
Oh well.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot more people come over to the weird side of Bigfoot now after this documentary. That's the buzz. That's the buzz that's going around, and it'd be interesting. So
it's interesting. We went on the woods a lot, Stephanie. What would you think do you think it's flesh and blood, or just based on what we've experienced? What do you think?
I don't think it's flesh and blood. I think there's something more to it. Flesh and blood would be too obvious.
Do you think that some of the things we've experienced are Bigfoot, that we just don't realize it's Bigfoot? I always wonder that.
Yeah, people have experiences with Bigfoot in their homes.
Yeah.
It's just, it acts more like something that is, to be honest, it acts like a ghost, throwing stones in the woods, and people pick up the stones, and the stones are warm. And that's, again, I think I've said this before, but that with poltergeist activity.
Steph and I have been in the woods a lot lately. I just wonder if some of the stuff that we have experienced, we think it's one phenomenon, but I don't know, maybe it could be something else. Have you ever considered that?
No, I never thought about it like that. That's interesting.
Right? I don't know. Because I was talking to the high strangest people, and they were telling me about experiences that Stephanie and I have experienced, and I'm like, are we experiencing Bigfoot and just not realizing we're experiencing Bigfoot? Or are they experiencing something that we're experiencing and calling it Bigfoot? There was this whole conversation that I had with them because I'm like, are you sure you're contacting Bigfoot?
The funny thing is, too, is it's not that I'm not a Bigfoot person, the fact that I'm not going out and looking for Bigfoot, but as my interests as I start gathering like information, I'm reading on a lot on Bigfoot now. And as I'm doing that, we had an experience a few weeks ago. right in the middle of all this as it started piquing my interest. So it acts like other phenomena where once you start paying attention to it, it gives you a little something back.
Makes me want to go out and look for Bigfoot because I want to see. No, really, like I've been thinking about it all week. I guess my question always is, where's the dividing line with this stuff? Because I know you guys go out in the woods a lot. We go out in the woods a lot. What are we experiencing?
I have a lot of theories I'm working through now. I don't think I'm ready to really come out with that stuff yet. I'm like an in between. It's like a sort of in between worlds sort of thing, and what facilitates that, and it's leading me down the road to an existential crisis, I think. So,
We've been there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I think that's the phenomena saying, "Hey, keep asking questions. I'll keep the mystery going.
Yeah.
You're going down the right path, basically." So, we'll see where it leads.
Yeah, I don't know. If it doesn't lead anywhere, that's the other thing too. Like I was talking with Ron about that. I was like, the more that you look at phenomenon, the more that it looks back at you, and the more you become
Yep.
part of the phenomenon. So like, where does it end?
I think it's always going to lead you somewhere, but it's not going to lead you to the end, if that
Right.
makes sense.
But I think that's the question, right? I don't know if anyone has ever considered it, to be honest. What is your goal? Like when you're
Right.
doing this, what is your goal?
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
when do
Okay.
you go, I got it, and you pack it up and you're like, I'm done.
Yeah, because if it's the evidence, it's an unobtainable goal, I
Right.
think, in a lot of this stuff. I don't think you're going to get a lot of evidence as far as Bigfoot goes. I really don't.
I just think it's the personal experiences that you're just going out to experience them to say, this has proven for me, or I still need to keep looking.
Yeah.
But we've had full-on conversations about what is the goal, right? Yeah, Stephanie's laughing at me right now because that is always my question. Always. In everything. What is the goal? What are we doing here? Why are we doing this?
What's the end game?
What's the end game? Yes.
There
Always.
can't be. There can't be an end game if the goalpost keeps moving.
But always for me though, I'm like, what am I going after? Why am I going here? What is the point of this? Because yeah, phenomenon is interesting. Woo! But why? And why certain people and why? Is it just because we keep chasing? Is that why? Maybe that's it. Yeah, it is the existential crisis you're talking about. It puts you in there. It puts you in that place of,
Yeah.
whew, where does one world end and the other one begin? And where am I in it? And what?
Because I think it's forcing, I shouldn't say it's forcing. I think a lot of people think it's forcing you to pick a side. Are you going to be
Yeah.
the sciencey side, or are you going to be the more woo side? And
Hmm.
guess what, folks? It's a little bit of both. It's in between. And I think that's how it operates.
Yeah, someone said that it feels precognitive, like it has its own sentience or it knows.
Yeah.
It has a
Mhm.
predictive nature to it. So it knows your signature. And so sometimes it plays on that on purpose. And I
Oh,
always
yeah.
wonder what's the point of that?
The way I think about it is, say you're speaking to something that's, we'll say, for lack of better words, on the other side, okay, across the veil, whatever. It might not be able to communicate with you in the same way you think you could communicate with it. Think of it as you're speaking two different languages here. So what does it do? If it has access to your consciousness, your subconscious, is it going in and plucking little things out here and there and speaking to you in symbols and words and phrases that it understands here and there? Like that could be it. It might just be a communication barrier, or it's all our brains. But
Interesting. Yeah. Now I have to watch this footage of, yeah.
I know. I'm curious.
I am too. I'm also curious, like, why does Bigfoot keep coming up? This is the new thing. Before it was goblins, now it's Bigfoot. Like,
Yeah.
why is the Bigfoot thing so important to what we have been experiencing? I almost feel like it's all the same thing. It's just pick your,
Your archetype.
yeah, basically. Yeah. Yeah. Because Stephanie, some of the stuff that we've experienced, you've experienced in a completely different way, in a totally different archetype.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the how you experience stuff? It's so different.
I don't know. So are you just like the Anubis stuff or just like in
Yeah,
general?
the Anubis stuff, because it's so different than how I've experienced it, but it's completely the same.
Yeah, so when we're together and you've experienced the phenomenon, I haven't, which is interesting in itself, but I have experienced it by myself at other times. And when we compare notes, the experience, it's the same. Like it equates to the same thing, but I see it as an Egyptian god, or that's how my brain interprets it. Whereas you're seeing it as just some wispy, tall, black thing.
If we talk about it, we're having the same experience. I'm
Mhm.
seeing it as an actual figure in the forest or wherever we're seeing it coming to you more of in your everyday life.
Right.
Yeah.
Or as its symbols or messages, not necessarily as a figure.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's the same experience for sure. That's the thing. Because when we compare notes, we're like, yeah, this is what's going on in my life. This is what's happening. This is how it's affecting me. And it's very close. And so we were trying to figure out what is the thread here? Like, why does it
Yeah.
show up to everyone in a different way? For me, it's very curious. For other people, like for you, it's very something else completely. You know what I mean? It's a more fearful. I don't know, but then how does that correlate with Bigfoot? Because some people just see it as Bigfoot. Like that's the whole thing. And then some people see it as UFOs.
Yeah.
But you'll have the UFO people standing right next to the Bigfoot people and they'll have an experience in the forest and one will see a UFO and one will see the Bigfoot in the
Yeah.
same place at the same time or very close.
Yeah, it's wild. I'm coming from, I was a big UFO guy for a long time growing up. Like, to me, that was the thing that was the most believable, right? That there's life somewhere else and it's coming here and it's interacting with us. I am getting so far away from that right now. I'm getting into the weirder, high strangeness stuff. And I
Mhm.
realize that aliens fit in there. But for me personally, I haven't had a real experience. I guess I shouldn't say that. We have weird
I
stuff.
don't want one. I just want the aliens to know that. I've watched The Fourth Kind and I'm good. Thank you very much. Come to that side of the bed.
I've never had an experience. I've seen, I guess, call them whatever you want, UFOs, UAPs in the sky, right? You're a
Mhm.
kid. It could be
Mhm.
anything. It could be a comet that you see and you mistaken it for something else. I've never had one walk right up to me and say, "Hey, what's up, dude? What's going on?" But I have had dreams. My experiences are all in my dreams with aliens, whatever you want to call them, extraterrestrials, whatever. And my experience with that is it's usually a dream with a message. I think Heather, we talked about this before. I was told to build a device. I didn't know who was telling me this. It didn't feel like it was human. It didn't have a shape or form. It came to me as more like a voice. Direct communication through my brain. I don't know how to explain that. The one time I did experience an alien in my dream. It was very weird. I couldn't move, and it was pushing balls of light into my forehead. And I think I sorted that out where that was all going. So finally, I have some plans going on there. But yeah, I don't know. I never put the two together. I never put aliens and Bigfoot together, but I know that's the thing. I just haven't had an experience, personal experience that has put the two together that I know of, or at least that I haven't put that together yet. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like it's all the same thing though.
Oh yeah, yeah, I agree. I'm the guy that I want the experience. I want it to happen so I could say, all right, I have an idea what's going on here.
Have you guys heard about the new research coming out saying that? So I've heard two things recently. I've heard that our dreams are real.
Oh yeah.
They're not just like things that are happening in our mind while we're sleeping. They're real. That there are other dimensions, I think, that
Oh
we're
okay, yeah.
experiencing. And I've also heard recently that people who are being abducted, they're not actually like leaving, like physically leaving where they are. It's similar, I think, to like a dream that they're saying it's real. You're still in your bed and you're experiencing this dream. And I think they're saying now that like abductions are very similar to that.
Yes. I'm sorry, I'm going back over all my dreams now and going.
I know.
But see, I've experienced UFO stuff and alien stuff through dream. That's always how I've experienced it.
Same with me.
But if you talk to a lot of experiencers, that's how they feel it is. That's they feel like it's in a dream state, which is, I don't know. Oh, it makes me, okay, it creeps me out because one time I did have an experience where it was when I first moved to Arkansas and it was clear as day. I thought it was literally happening. These three grays came in and were starting to pull me off the bed. And I was like, oh, hell to the no. And I started to fight back, and some kind of weird electricity came out through my hands and pushed them away. And I woke up in my bed, literally like panicking. And I realized at the time I had a boyfriend and I was sleeping on his, I guess I had fallen asleep on his chest. He had no idea at all. But I couldn't sleep after that because I was like, but I think the thing that was most freaky about it was that in the dream, the where they were in my house was too accurate. They came down the hallway and I could see them coming down it was too real. Like it was everything was where it was supposed to be. And usually when you dream, there's always something off. There's something a little bit off. But no, I don't know. But I never had dreams about grays after that. So I win.
Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah, you win. I bet you didn't think this was going this way with this conversation, huh?
No, I didn't, but it's interesting though because there seems to be progression. A lot of people who I talk to, it starts off with UFOs and then it moves up in other places. But it always starts off with UFOs and then it moves into you're in the middle of the forest. So I don't know what the progression is or why it progresses like that. Stephanie, have you had any alien stuff happen?
Yeah, and I've had dreams with alien stuff. Yeah. Yeah, it's only in my dreams. No other
That's
experiences with it.
it's really
Yeah.
interesting because that's three of us now of the four here. How about you, Gab? Alien dreams? No. You're able to just
I'm
shut that down
terrified
completely?
I'm terrified of aliens. And I think they know that and they're like, let's find another archetype for her.
So it's interesting you say it starts with aliens because the first time I remember having the alien dreams was when we started doing the work when you had that podcast group and we were meeting. Because it started off talking about Atlantis and channeling. And with around the time that group started is when I started having those alien dreams or when I remember them. And that was the initiation or the initiatory point for us getting to where we are now. Yeah.
Because Atlantis always goes into aliens, and don't ask me why, I do not know.
They were the former technological civilization that was on this planet
Sure.
allegedly. Yeah.
Unless Atlantis is the future and not the past.
That's a good point. And I do have an alien experience I just thought of.
Oh boy,
Of
see?
course you
That's-
do.
When I was young, I would fall asleep with facing the wall, and the rest of my room would be like behind me, and I would wake up during the night and I would be like, don't turn around. There's an alien there. Don't turn around. There's an alien. If you turn around, you're going to see the alien. So it would happen like pretty often. I don't know how often, but I can remember like at least 6 to 8 times it would happen. And then this one time I was just like, turn around. And I did. And there was this big black shadow figure just like standing right next to my bed. And I was like, my mom used to always go, if you see a ghost, ask it what it wants. So I was like, what do you want? And it didn't say anything. And I was like, okay. And I just ran downstairs and I was like, Mom.
See, look at that. Memory unlocked.
That's how it works, though, right?
Yeah, it always does. It always does.
Someone can ask me, "Hey, what was your most profound experience?" And I'll sit there and deer in headlights and look at them like, because there's so much. It's like, what are you gonna pull from?
Yeah, like where do you start?
Yeah.
Somebody had asked me that the other day. They asked, oh, you've been investigating for 20 something years, or yeah, almost 30 now. But what's your best experience? And I'm like, really? You're gonna, what? I don't know. Depends on the day.
I
Yeah,
always tailor it to the person, what I think they can handle.
I never know what to say. I'm like, it's batshit crazy out there, you guys. I don't know.
that's a good point, though. Before I answer you, how much can you handle, really?
Yeah. I'll start like small and they'll be like, "Oh my God, really? What about?" And I'll be like, "Oh, you can handle more?"
Oh, that's funny. I think people are more willing to accept things like ghosts because that's how they're brought up, right? It's always core to the religious values. So
Mm.
we're taught that there's an afterlife and this and that, and people are willing to accept that. And they're also willing to accept the negative part of that, which is everything's a demon. But hey, I never thought I'd be talking about Bigfoot and aliens, but here I am. So it's like you said, it's a natural progression. You start with one thing and it progresses until everything.
I think ghosts are just like the gateway drug. You go and you start looking around in haunted houses, you go and you pay your money and you do your little investigation and you're like, whoa, there's something here. But if you really, some people just stay there because it's comfortable. But if you're really curious, then you start to wonder, like, what are the mechanisms behind this? Like, how does this happen? And then as soon as you go down that rabbit hole, you're screwed.
Yeah, a good idea for your next book, Heather. Ghost, the
Right?
gateway drug.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like because then you're like, how much am I putting myself into this thought forms? And you move into thought forms and you're like, okay, wait a minute. I'm reacting to this as much as reacting to them, and now I'm creating things. Great. Okay. Well, then where does that come from? And then you're in the woods. And, and then you're on a
Literally,
spaceship.
literally sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you're in a
Oh,
spaceship, and then you're like, okay, now there's all this synchronicity. What do I do with that? And then it just becomes this whole thing. And some people go there and some people don't. I know people that are just super happy with just taking the red pod into a haunted place and they will never leave that. And I'm always
Hmm.
like, that's fun, but
Yeah.
there's so much more to it.
I'm trying to put it together.
It's more this happens and it's all happening at the same time, and now we're in this continuum, and now we're trying to figure out why all the pieces move around each other. Now we've created this whole cosmosis thing, and it's never just one piece. It's always like looking into the
No,
mind.
again, because it's speaking in symbols. It's speaking symbolic, you
Right.
know what I mean? It's you
Yeah.
have to part of the mystery is you have to put it together. Sorry, that's what it is.
But do we though? That's the whole thing, and I think that's where I always get really annoyed. Is like, why do we have to put it together? Why can't it just write a book about it and send it over or something? Like, where's the thesis on this?
Yeah. Just self-publish.
Yeah.
I think because our minds are a big component of this.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
So,
That's a good point. Does the paranormal need us? Are we a part of it and we're just not?
oh, we are definitely part of it.
Yeah. We're not just like a passive observer. Like we're a part of the equation.
We're never passive observers. So even when you're being a passive observer, you're not a passive observer.
Yeah.
Woo!
No, because if in order for you to experience it, you have to put in your own energy into it. You're literally feeding into it. You may not be doing anything, but your energy being there in that space, in that time, has an imprint. Your signature is now officially part of it. I noticed that too. Every haunted place I go, sometimes you can pick out the people that have been there. And that's not part of the haunting. You could just feel the imprint of other people who've investigated there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if time doesn't like
Hmm.
exist the way we think it is as linear, what's to say you're not going to these places and talking to yourself in the future?
We have had
So,
that conversation before.
yeah, I keep going back to that, but it just all the I don't want to say all the evidence points to it, but with our Estes sessions, we find that a lot. We get something that means absolutely nothing, and then you review it again a couple months later, and you're like, "Holy cow,
Yeah.
that's relevant now." Wild.
Yeah, we've had a lot of that. Me and Stephanie have. We've had years of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where we're like, remember that conversation we had 3 years ago? Suddenly it
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which makes me wonder what's the precog with it? Because I always feel like I'm working in the past, present, and the future all at the same time. And I never know where I am in that timeline. I never know. I never know if I'm talking to somebody in the past or I'm talking to somebody in the future. That's why. Wait, so how did we get on the thing, Stephanie, that Atlantis might be the future? I forgot.
I asked the question because we had done the light language channeling and we had talked about that. And as he was explaining the world ending and the catastrophes and aliens taking people to their underground bunker for his Noah's Ark or whatever he was talking about, it reminded me of the story of Atlantis. So that's why I asked it. I said, is it possible that the story of Atlantis is actually in the future and that's what they're showing us? Is Atlantis. And we always think it's in the past because people have always told the story that it was in the past. Or is it just, it could be a cycle, right? It's happened in the past and now we're moving back into that cycle again.
So we're seeing the future, not the past, thinking it's the past.
I thought that for a while.
For context, we were at a CE5 meditation thing and we were doing, well, she was doing light language. And it came up and we had some weird things happen that I was like, it was me and her having this, everybody else was doing their own thing and me and her having these little synchronicities going, what the fuck is going on right now? And then she asked her, I don't know. And I'm like, he's not even part of it. He doesn't know idea what's going on right now. So
it's a good point that you would bring that up because Gabrielle says this all the time. Like when we investigate with people, a lot of people are doing their own thing, and when her and I sync up, and that's when we are getting like the good stuff. You know what I mean? I think when you pair up with your bestie or whatever, your spouse, I think that duality helps a little bit. When you have that good, you have that good rapport with each other, you have a good relationship. I think that really ties it together really nice and pulls things out a bit.
I think you have to be the certain energy too, because we will sync up with people right away, or we won't. There is no in between. Like, even when we were doing stuff in a group, there was one person who we were all on the same page and she'd be like, I don't get it. And I'm like, you're not in the energy though. You're never in the energy. You're in some other place, which is fine. You're doing your own thing. But it was very confusing for us because we all tended to be like in sync. And even our lives started to, we were having parallel things happening. And this other person was just over there. And not to say that her experience isn't valid, because it completely is, but it's not the same.
It's not the same because it's not as meaningful to you because you're not in the same space.
Yeah. But everybody else, there was a sync with everybody else. And I could never figure out why. Because you're right, hers was significant and it did make sense later on. It did. But at the time, there was definitely two streams going.
Yeah, it goes back to the whole thing about personal experience. It's the individual experience that really matters. And you could have multiple things going on, and then it comes together later on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, too, there is, and I know this sounds weird, but there is a certain energy. Like, a lot of the things that you two are experiencing, we have experienced. There's definitely a lot of layover here, a lot of crossover. You're doing it in your own way, in your own time. But when you talk, if you notice, we're both going, we did that, yeah. And so there is some kind of like lane. And I don't know how to explain it better, but when you're in that lane, when other people are there, you're like, yeah. Like you don't have to say much. You just know everybody's experiencing the same thing. And I always wonder what that is. Like, why is there this certain energy? Like, even when I was talking to the high strangest guy, Ron, 10 minutes into that conversation, he even said, I think we're having the same experiences. And I'm like, even the guy, his co-writer was like, there's a lot of synchronicities going on right now. And I was like, yeah, because we're in that lane. There's definitely a lane happening here. Not that there isn't correct or it's not transformational. It is. It completely is, but it's not the same. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, no, there's like
I think it's the collective unconscious. I think when you tap into it, you get like access to so much. Like it just opens things up for you.
Yeah.
And I don't know what anyone has done to tap into it, but something happens and you're suddenly given access.
Yeah,
Well, I
maybe.
mean,
Yeah.
the interesting thing to me is we had interviewed someone recently, and one of my first questions before we even hit record was, "How did you find us? We're a new podcast. We're not really putting ourselves out there. We're not marketing this and everything." And he said, "You asked a question." And I was just like, "What?" And he's, "You asked a question. So here I am." Like that was basically what his response was. And I thought that was just going back to what Stephanie said. I believe she just said that about Atlantis. What happened? I asked a question. And I think that has a lot to do with it, is the mystery wants to be, it doesn't want to be solved. It wants to be encountered. It wants to be found, and it wants you asking questions.
But again, for what purpose?
I don't know. I guess that's the mystery. And I think if it, it's a good question. I get it. I want to know why. What is the purpose of this? Why is it's like asking what the meaning of life is?
Yeah.
Or maybe that's it. Hell, we just figured it out. We're on the quest for the meaning of life.
It's 42. We already know this. It's already been
42.
it's already been put in books.
Thanks for all the fish.
We got it. Next.
We're obviously beyond traditional hauntings. But how much weight do you give to external factors, things like infrasound, geomagnetic activity, like the architecture of the location?
I think it's all of it.
Yeah, it seems every time we have something significant that we're talking about or dealing with, we're also talking about the landscape and the minerals or the water content. We're always discussing that. Or even with the fee house, it was the ley lines and how the energetics of the location affect everything.
So then, in your experience, do you think that certain geographic areas, things like coal regions or different like just wooded rural paths that you're walking, do you think that they have different like flavors of activity compared to different urban settings? Because I feel like that's really where you feel like the magic, right? I'm not feeling it in historic houses that we're investigating. Like I'm feeling it when we're out like in those wooded areas, when you're out in those geographic places that you could ground yourself at.
From my experience, I can tell you that the places that have one kind of activity are going to have all the activities. So if I have an experience outside in a location, I usually look up to see what other kind of activity is there, and usually I find the smorgasbord. Oh, there's been UFO sightings here. Oh, there's UFOs. Oh, there's ghosts, and there's always somebody that got killed. I don't know. So we have the lady in white, or we have some kind of something, rituals, demons. I've never had it where just one thing happens there. You know what I mean? It feels like an energy spot where it all accumulates, and then people go there to do ritual because they can feel that it's an energy spot. And so then, of course, people die there. Or I don't know why this is, but a lot of the places where there is activity, there tends to be cemeteries or dumping grounds. And I always
Yeah.
wonder what that's about too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. For us, I don't know how deep you want to go with this, but right now I'm doing a lot of reading on specific geological structures underground, specifically quartz, granite, anything that gives off piezoelectricity.
Mhm.
And funnily enough, is that a word? Funnily?
It is
It is
now.
now. The one spot that we go to that we call the church, where we saw the antlered shadow, there is, and I gotta be careful here what I say without giving the location away. There's a certain type of stone in this area, and it's a compressed sandstone quartzite stone. And this is stone that is basically under, it was under high pressure, and now it's basically sliding across itself. And the opposite side of the mountain where we had our experience, there are quarries for this stone. So you have everything. You have the quartz, you have the piezoelectricity digging into the ground, and we're just starting to put that together now, and it's putting us down another path, I think.
Yes, there seems to be this thing about digging the ground, wounding the ground, mines,
Yep.
nuclear power, same thing. You have to dig or you blow it up. You know what I mean? When you're even when you're making electrical power plants or electricity and water, you're having to like seriously change the dynamic of the ground and the water. You're rerouting it. There's something about that. There's something about the mines or the whenever you are wounding the earth, it creates something. And even in the most pristine places where I've been, where it's absolutely pristine, it doesn't matter 30 miles away or even 20 miles away, there's going to be something that is affecting it. There's going to be quarries, mines, electrical something, nuclear something. It changes the dynamic of the whole area. And I don't know what that is because, see, and this is where the UFO thing comes in too, because a lot of the places where you see UFOs are near water, cemeteries, electrical power plants, nuclear power plants. It's all the same thing. Or they're underwater, you know what I mean? And a lot of times we're like, why is it happening? And a lot of people say it's because they're looking for the energy. And I'm like, that's the same energy probably this phenomenon is using. So the hotel that I'm working at right now, doing the ghost tours, it is literally butt up against a limestone slab of a mountain with water.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there's actually a cave that we go, there's two caves, but there was a speakeasy cave and then there's actually another cave that nobody knows about that they use. The butt of the hotel is inches away from this limestone. And then water all the time is dripping off of it, and it
Mhm.
goes down into this little waterfall that goes down into the park. And the park is where the healing waters are. So people are always like, why is this hotel so weird? I'm like, you have a generating source of power, like literally behind it. That's the other thing too. That hotel doesn't have resident ghosts. It
Mhm.
doesn't. A lot of the times when I go into some of these rooms and we're doing investigating, somebody's mother came through, somebody's brother came through. There was spirits from the land. Somebody came through the jail around the corner that used to be there that isn't there anymore. It's never the actual people that stayed there. It's this weird ley line portal thing that happens in that hotel. So you never know who you're going to talk to or what you're going to get. And it goes back to what you were saying. There's just certain places that have that energy.
Yeah, it's interesting because the planet itself is a giant. I was just talking about this today. Is a giant engine, right? And you have a solid metal core that's spinning, that's generating energy, basically electromagnetic waves. And I'm wondering if these areas where the water is, where the digging was, where there's these minerals, if they're just acting as antennas, or specifically with the digging, is the digging getting you in a way opening up a rift in that area, getting you closer to the Earth's core? And I'm putting it all together now, and I am not a smart sciencey person, but trying to make sense, but it makes sense to me.
I don't think you have to be smart. I just think you have to be in it.
Yeah,
I think
no,
that's
you definitely do.
90% of it. Stephanie, I know. So again, you have a different experience than me, but the same. Your inclination is always to hug the trees or to touch the trees or to feel at one with the trees. Do you feel the that weird wounding or like what goes through your mind when it happens?
Sometimes. Sometimes I pick up on that. Other times it's just like grounding or connecting with that energy. It depends on where we are. And it shows up differently in different locations too, because the wounding at the Abbey was different than the wounding in Tennessee, which is different than the wounding at the Fee House. But it was all there. We still picked up on it, whether in nature or a natural source. But you're talking about like the minerals and how it flows through the earth. And we were talking about Atlantis. So I thought about James Timberon and his information. And I can never find a lot of information. I know he talked a little bit about the geomagnetic and all of the ways that the minerals move the energy and cycle because he was a geologist. But most of the time he talked about Edgar Cayce because he was in love with Edgar Cayce. I wish I could find his information or if he wrote stuff on that, because I think that's probably relevant to this discussion. But he
That's
also
interesting.
said that the Atlanteans were in Arkansas because of all of the quartz in the mountains.
They needed it. They needed to make their technology culture, so they needed the quartz to make their circuitry, allegedly.
Wait, so the Atlanteans are supposed to be in Arkansas?
Yeah, supposedly they were in Arkansas. That was like a second base because there's the quartz mines and stuff that are there. There's a major quartz there, but then I don't remember where the other place he talks about it. But yeah, Arkansas was a big thing. He would have his Arklantis event every year where he'd bring in all of the speakers and talk. It was always about Edgar Cayce and pyramids and Atlantis.
Here?
They were supposed to be making some sort of retreat village special, I don't know what it was, like community there. And then COVID happened and he died. It was supposed to be down by Hot Springs.
Really? What about the pyramids? Was he making pyramids here or something?
I don't know.
But they
He
were
may have just been
pyramids.
talking about the pyramids in Atlantis that the aliens built.
There were pyramids in
Or
Atlantis?
supposedly, or maybe he's talking about the Egyptian pyramids and how they used them, but something about stones and healing. And I don't know. You can go find his stuff. And a whole big channeling, supposedly a channeling of Metatron or from Metatron about Atlantis.
Of course, it's Metatron. Of course it is. The reason why I'm asking is because I had to do this. I had to do this thing where, do you know what the tall whites? There's a movie about the tall whites. You know what I'm talking with the tall whites or whatever? That movie? Okay, so I don't know anything about the tall whites. Like that's not my lane. So Rupert asked me to be part of this meditation thing with the tall whites. And I'm like, sure, okay, I don't know anything about that. Apparently, we get on the call and there's like 15 other people on the call, but apparently the producer director of that movie was on the call and he needed to know information about it because they're trying to actually contact the tall lights and do a part two of the movie where they're going to do it in real time and see if the tall lights come to anybody and blah blah. But when I went into meditation, we went through this whole meditation to talk to the tall lights, and the tall lights were like, we're not talking to you. But then like other things came down and all I saw was a bunch of pyramids. And I was like, what? But there were pyramids out. You're gonna laugh. There were pyramids out in the forest.
That would be cool.
And they were like connected throughout the world. But it was weird because I was seeing the pyramids out in like the forest around here. And I was all like, I don't know what this means. And so I told Rupert, better start looking at pyramids. Pyramids are going to be really important soon. And he just looked at me funny. And I was like, no, I'm not joking.
What did we just watch that had? They said they had a pyramid-shaped thing in the camera the entire time.
It was the Rod Meyer documentary.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Which one?
Yeah.
The ranch.
Bradshaw Ranch. That's in Sedona.
Yeah.
I feel like I've heard somewhere else that like the pyramids are somehow connected to each other.
There was a pyramid in the Bradshaw Ranch one?
It wasn't a pyramid per se. It wasn't like a physical object. It was a camera anomaly they kept getting that was there the whole time, and basically it looked like a light anomaly that was putting a black pyramid in the frame in the area that they were having activity.
It was like a reflective issue.
I think it might have been a reflective issue. I don't know what to say, but it's just interesting that you brought up the pyramids, and we just happened to watch that a couple days ago.
That was in Sedona, and that's right next to the Bell Rock. The Bradshaw Ranch is on the other side.
There was a university or something in Missouri near Branson that built a pyramid, and where they had like different geometric designs or something coming out of the earth. I don't remember what it was. I'll have to try to find it. But there was somebody that had to do, I think it's one of the Atlantis books I have that I haven't read. The guy that wrote that was at the university somewhere there in near Brampton. And then they did some sort of experiment with these big structures built into the land or something. There's like pyramids and other shapes or something.
I don't
That's
know.
really
The
cool.
pyramid thing
Yeah.
was really important though, because all I saw for 20 minutes was pyramids and blue light. But yeah, there was something about the pyramids. But how did I get on that? I don't know. Oh, because you started talking about Atlantis and Arkansas. To answer your
Sorry, go on.
question, yes, I feel like even haunted buildings, if you look at the geography of where they are, a lot of times you're gonna find the same things. Even Fee House. Fee House is near a big river. It's in a very metropolitan area, but there's a big river running through it, and then there's a giant ley line, and there's all these things happening in that one street. We found a church that went right through the ley line, and I was like,
Mhm.
okay, there you go. Now you have your ritual. It's just down the street. I feel like a lot of hauntings have to do with what people say it's trauma, right? Or these kinds of things. But I do think that the energy of the location has a lot to do with it. What's going on? Tombstone is in the desert, right? No water. But it was a mining town, silver mining. And there's still silver mines there. And what do they
Mhm.
put in mines? Water. So it's not naturally wet, but there's a lot of water with mining. So you're bringing that energy in. I really feel like this is something that we could do in the future. This is my thought process is why not create it? Like go find a house that has all these things that isn't haunted and then make it haunted. I feel like there is a pattern. I feel like there's just certain spots that definitely have more activity than other spots. And again, I feel like you can create it if you were to find a house, create a water signature, create some kind of ritual or cemetery, put it in the backyard, take all these little pieces and put them all together. I'm sure you could
Yeah.
create your little battery for your activity and then Bigfoot will show up.
All right, so we need quartz. Check. And then we need water. That's strange.
You need
No,
cemetery or something
yeah, something
or
nearby.
Yeah. Your
Mhm.
ritual.
Well, it's funny too because
Ritual.
you've heard of the Farnsworth House in Gettysburg, right? It's
Yeah.
supposedly one of the most haunted. They have a courtyard and they have water features all over the courtyard. They have a little koi pond. They have a stream that runs right through the courtyard.
Yep.
Yeah, it always checks out. It's
Yeah, and then you
strange.
need
I
your
agree.
power source. You need your electrical, nuclear, or some kind of power source. You always do.
What's the water though? What is the water? Is it just the fact that it is it carrying minerals through the liquid? What is that? I just don't get that. Other than the significant part of water that it's used in ritual. You see it with the Catholics with baptism, and it's used in every culture, right?
I always see it as like the brain, right? Because it holds the memory of the place. So it's like and it moves. So it moves through all of these things. And so it's creating the memory.
Yeah.
It's holding the memory. It's probably the universal consciousness if we're really going to go that direction.
Yeah. That's an interesting way to think about it.
If you think about water signs, like I think of it in terms of like esoteric, because water is so much about the feminine. In tarot, water is about the emotions. You use water for cleansing, but you also use water for holding things, holding memory, holding essence, holding emotion. It is literally a life force because without water we would die. And the other thing too is you can program water to be whatever it needs to be. So if you could literally put memories in the water, you can usually take universal consciousness and filter it through water. You use water for scrying too, for telling the future.
Yep. You could bless it and throw it at demons.
You could. But that's what I'm thinking the water is the universal consciousness, though. I'm thinking that you can have the power source And you can have the land and you can have the wounds and you can have the ritual, but without the water, it doesn't have any memory. So without the memory,
Yep.
Yeah.
it's not going to be able to do anything. So I think the water is more important than the most important piece, even though we don't really talk about it as much, or we don't, I don't know, it just seems to always be there. So we don't think of
Yeah.
it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I talk about water a lot. That's
Do
one of
you?
the first things I look for whenever, yeah, oh yeah, whenever we go somewhere exploring, investigating, I look for water because I've noticed that correlation. There's always a nearby body of water.
So how do you think the intention of the investigator influences activity at certain sites?
The intention?
Yeah.
Whew, that's a loaded question.
Specifically, how the investigator, right,
Yeah.
is going in with their intention. So you're going in with 5 different people,
5 different intentions.
possibly, if you're not on the same page. And that explains why you have some people that they go into it and they don't have a great time because something negative happens to them if that's how they go into it. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Heather?
I think it has everything to do with your experience. We always go into investigations with just curiosity. We don't care if we get anything. We're not there
Yeah.
for that. You know what I mean? We don't go in places going, oh, we're going to get all this evidence. I could give a shit at this point. The amount of things that I've seen or heard or felt or experienced, like, I'm not in the mindset of trying to prove it anymore. I just assume that it's there. So a lot of times I'll bring in all this equipment in my bag and then I forget to even take out the equipment. It's more for me about the experience of what is it, why is it here, and what is it doing? You know what I mean? I'm more curious on it. I'm more of like a let's get to know you kind of way. So I investigate completely different than most people because of that. I was watching this show on the Garnet House yesterday, and I hate paranormal shows. And I don't listen to paranormal podcasts either. I'm very intrigued by the Garnet House right now because there's this thing called the Grinner in it. So I'm like, okay, let's go into this place with these two people. And I'm like, all right, let's watch it. I want to see what the inside looks like. And so I was just, have you ever done this? Have you ever watched something about a place and you're reading the place as you're watching it? I was doing
Yeah.
that. I'm like, okay, well, what is this? And so the whole time, these two guys were in there. They're like, came here all the way from New York. You need to give us some activity because we drove all this way and we're here in the freezing cold and you need to do something. And I'm like, they're not gonna get shit. I know they're not gonna get shit. If that
No.
attitude,
No, it's not going to perform for you.
they didn't get very much. And I was like, I know why. It's because they came in with this expectation that because they've been there 3 other times and it was lit up and they got all this activity that it's supposed to be that way this time. And I'm like, that's not
Mm-hmm.
how it works. You could go to the same place 10 times and have nothing happen 9 out of 10 times.
Yeah, we have places like that. The first time we go, one place in Pike County, the first time we went, it was great. Fantastic. We had EVPs, we had bonkers Estes sessions, and it was great. So we went again, and we still got our history tour. The guy there, Tim, he's great. But uh, to be fair, we haven't really gone through the evidence yet. We really have to do that. But it wasn't as crazy as the first time. And I think that's because it goes back to what you're saying is you already have that expectation of what you're going to get, and it's not always going to be like that. Like you got lucky the first time. Good for you. You know what I mean? But you have to realize that sometimes you're just going to spend a night in an empty building, and that's what you get.
Yeah, I'm just excited that I get to go into this location at night with not a lot of people. And that's not something a lot of people get to do. So I
Right.
get this really cool experience of being able to walk like a historic location at night
Yeah.
in this way that is like uncommon that other people aren't being able to experience. So that's sometimes just enough for me.
And we got to bring 2 new people along with
Yeah.
us. And they had a good time. Whether the one guy heard footsteps upstairs, there was no one up there. So
Yeah.
he got that experience, and good for him. I'm glad that we were able to bring him along and provide that experience for him. Not that we provided that experience for him, but that he actually had an experience going on one of these investigations. So I thought that was really neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more about the curiosity, I think, and the historical aspect of it. I think a lot of people go in with those two guys. We're here, we're gonna go do this thing, and this thing isn't gonna happen. And it's not. It's not performative. It happens when it wants to, and it
Right.
If it likes you, it'll engage with you, and if it doesn't like you, it's not going to. This is how it is. And at the hotel Basin, there are nights when nothing happens, and I don't know why. And then the next night, it'll be lit, and I'm like, I can't keep up. I'm literally overwhelmed right now. That happened the other night. I was like, I need to go home. This is too much. It's too much. But at any given day, it could be anything. You never know. So to go in and be like, I think a lot of people are looking for that evidence. They want their REM pod to go off. They
Yeah.
want their dead bells to go off. They want to hear it on the ghost box like all the time. And you're missing the point then. I feel.
I feel like people, like we touched on this earlier. People are so stuck in that box, right? This is what I'm seeing on TV. This is what people are doing on TV, but that's for entertainment, right? And you have to get to that point where you're realizing that you need to step outside of that box. And that's not really what we're here for, right? There's like another purpose, and there's other things that you can like transcend that, right? When you're going in with the right intentions and the right purpose and the right attitude, because that really does matter, right? If you're expecting something, you're not going to get it. It's not their job to provide you that. Like you're just there as an observer, and if they want to show you something, that's great. And if they don't, that's great too. That's their choice.
So do you ever do sensory deprivation?
I do a lot, yeah.
How does that work for you as a psychic? What does that look like for you as a psychic? Sensory
Sensory
deprivation.
deprivation?
How do you go about doing that?
So sometimes I'll put on headphones so I can't hear just to see
Okay.
if I can see anything. Does that make sense? Or sometimes
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah.
sometimes I'll do blindfolds or I close my eyes. Sometimes, so what I used to do a lot is when I was going into a building blind, like literally, I would go in literally blind. So I take off my glasses so I couldn't see on
Mhm.
purpose. That way I was forced to listen and to experience, and it's a completely different place when you can't see.
Yeah.
So I've done it that way. I know with SDs you do both ears and eyes,
Yeah.
so you can listen. But I've done that before without SDs just to see what happens when you're in that tunnel. It's the SD's tunnel without the spirit box. But it's very visceral is the only word I can say. You have this, I always feel like a rabbit. You're kind of walking through going, okay, what is going to come at me?
I figured it would be similar, headphones being involved or blind of sorts, but no saline tank, huh?
No, I don't do that.
No.
It's too
I don't
much.
think a lot of people do.
That's too much. Too much. Yeah.
Oh, it's too expensive. Yeah.
It's overkill.
I'm thinking about how you make it portable.
A portable saline tank. Too much Stranger Things, I think.
You go to this like 300-year-old house and you're like, I'm just going to bring this giant tank with thousands of gallons full of water in here.
It'll be fine. It'll be
And
fine.
they're like, no, you're not.
Yeah, I think just sometimes just taking off my glasses is enough because I'm nearsighted. So like I can see about 2 or 3 feet away. That is a lot right there.
I was just talking about this today, actually. I think I go back and forth on the whole investigation thing, whether does it matter if you do it at night or during the day? And for a long time, I was like, no, it doesn't matter. If the things are there, the things are going to be there. But the more that I think about it, that's sensory deprivation. When you go and you turn the lights off in a place, you're out in the woods in the middle of the night. That I think that sort of helps.
It
That
does. Yeah.
helps your brain. Yeah, it definitely helps it get into that mode where your main senses are hampered a little bit, and your brain has to take over a little bit.
Really being forced into that liminal state.
Yeah.
Do you need the dark to go there? No, but it does help. But that always makes me wonder, what are we really picking up on then? Do you know
I
what I
know.
mean?
We're just talking to ourselves.
Could be. See, that's the thing. I
We're
never
talking to each other.
see now
Could
I
be.
have thought about that. I have thought about when I go to places that a lot of people have gone through there and investigated, I have thought, am I just talking to the last person that was here and what they got? And so now I'm just, what if the EVP is them and they're getting my EVP and we're just going, because past, present, future are all supposed to be happening at the same time. Literally, are we talking to other investigators?
Yeah, that'd be fun.
I always wonder, some of the stuff I get, I wonder, like names and stuff, I always wonder, was that somebody that was here prior?
Oh yeah, because you get stuff that's not even connected to the house
Yeah.
or the property or the area. Yeah, yeah.
We
Like yeah, Michael, Linda, and Russell, right,
Yeah.
Gab? Yeah,
That was an investigation team that was there before us.
yeah.
We talked to them.
That's what I'm saying. You don't know because again, when you're going in those places, you're creating a signature. You are leaving your energy there. So, what exactly are you reading? And then the other thing too is, so this is strange. On the third floor, there are two ghosts. Okay. One's a little girl and one's a woman. People swear that these ghosts exist. I go down there and I'm like, there's a signature of a little girl and a woman, right? I've experienced it. I've on some level, on some level. But do they really exist? Have they ever really existed? I don't know. And then the little girl knows about the mom. I'm going to say mom in air quotes because we don't really know. And the mom knows about the little girl, but they're talking about two different experiences all the time. And I'm always like, I don't think they're in the same time period. I think they know about each other, but they're not.
Oh, so they're that adds another layer to this then. That
Right.
adds a completely different dimension because now you have us talking to the thing
Mhm.
and then the thing talking to the other thing,
Uh-huh.
and it's all overlapping.
They're both talking to us. But
Oh my God.
then it gets more confusing because people swear that they're haunting the hotel. But I'm like, I don't think they're even associated with the hotel. I
Yeah.
don't know why they're there in the first place. Because one of the tour guides, she talks to them all the time. They're people. And she gets great responses. I've been in the room with her and I'm like, wow. When I try to talk to them, they're not real. They are like thought forms or they're not actualized. And so it's really
Yeah.
hard for me to try to I don't because I think they're in two different time frames. So in my mind, I'm like, who am I talking to and where are you? And I get too confused with the layers. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's really hard because are they real? I don't know. Are they thought forms that just have moved into time and space? What did we do? Because everybody talks to them every night.
You don't know what you're talking to either. So what if it's something other that is stepping into the shoes of what you're expecting to be communicating with? It
Right.
says, all right, I want to interact somehow, and if it needs me to fill those shoes, then hey, so be it. I'll just do it.
So that's the thing too, is I'm not explaining it well because I'm still trying to figure it out, but it's okay. So you know how when you talk to something sentient, that's a ghost, right? There's a signature, there's a pattern there. You can feel it in your stomach. You know what I'm talking about, right? You know. When you're communicating with something and it's lacking that signature, I get really confused by that because
Yeah.
I know that there's something there. There's an energy signature of that thing in the hallway, but it's not a ghost.
It's just
And
wearing the hat.
yeah, and one's talking to the other and the other's talking back, but they're in separate places. So then it gets really confusing because I'm like, where are you? Who are you? You're not a ghost. You're not sentient. How did you get here?
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't like when you go to places and they'll say to you, in this room, who is staying in their corner, first of all? And then I hate when they say, we've been to places and they'll say, and don't help our spirits cross over. They like
Yeah.
it here. I'm like, what?
Like they're keeping them in a.
Yeah,
It's
they're
terrible.
hostages.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
That's funny that you say that because I'm talking about outside of a certain room, but people say that these two people live in this room, and I know they don't live in that room because people experience them outside in the hallway all the time or in the room. But when I go into that room, there's nobody in there.
A few of those, yeah. Yeah.
Like they're out there in the hallway with you looking in the room, like, really?
I think the room is a portal though, because I've gotten other people and I've
Yeah.
gotten people like guests who are there, their loved ones come through. So there's definitely something going on with the room itself. It's more like
Yeah.
a passageway, but I wouldn't say that it's like we have these specific ghosts in this room.
This is where we keep them.
I hate that too. In room two, like Crescent, into room 218, we have Michael. I'm like, he's everywhere in this hotel. He's not going to
Yeah.
stay in that one room.
Yep. No, you're right. We've stayed in quite a few places, and it's, oh, this is the most haunted room in the place, and people leave in the middle of the night. They start screaming and they leave, and they never come back. And we've never experienced anything. We're still like, there's something here. It's weird, but I don't think we're talking to who they think
Yeah.
is
Exactly.
there. Yeah. Yeah, I get it.
I hate when they make claims like that. Like we actually did a tour recently of a location, and you could tour it, you could stay there. So we were doing that. We were taking the tour, and then we were staying that night, and there was another woman that was also on the tour that was staying there that night. And they were like, "Oh yeah, this room is the most haunted room. People get so scared here, they leave, they don't stay."
And it's very suggestive. It's
Right.
like they're
Making all these claims.
Yeah.
And then I could see the woman's face. I was like, she did not know this place was haunted. And now she's very worried she has to stay here tonight.
Yeah.
And at the end of the tour, I went up to her and I was like, you can just walk into your room and say, please don't bother me tonight. I just want to have a nice, peaceful night's rest. I don't want to be bothered tonight. And she's, oh, okay. She, like, this
I
poor
know.
thing. Why are you scaring people?
I know.
It's terrible.
People experience all these things. And the evidence that I have, the evidence, air quotes on that, the evidence that I have is something completely different. Like the kind of experiences that I have are so different. But that's because I'm not really thinking about in this location, there's this ghost. I don't have that kind of expectation though. So things just, yeah.
Yeah, it's more tell me who you are.
Yeah, exactly. That's that open-minded curiosity thing. I think I've always
Yeah.
been that way though.
Yeah.
But the Fee House was like that too. The Fee House, there was supposedly these ghosts there, and we were like, those are thought forms. They're not even real. They're not real. I can
Yeah.
tell you with certainty. The way that they interact, it's always consistent. It's always the same thing over and over again. And I'm like, that's not, no, that's a thought form. It's literally you just taught it to do tricks.
Yep.
Yep.
Which was very interesting to me to see it in real time happen, where people had their balls, this and that, and it was happening exactly how it was supposed to every single time.
Yep.
Oh yeah. How do you both debrief after you have like high intensity or emotionally draining investigations, like different ways to ensure your mental well-being?
Not debrief, but I see what you're saying. Yeah. What do you do to
Ground yourself
Ground
in a
yourself.
way.
Do I do that?
I know. That's why it's a good question. Because we say all the time, oh yeah, we try to ground ourselves, but if I'm gonna be honest, I'm very bad at it. I think I am. I don't always do it.
And I don't think it even has to be grounding. It could be in a way like a self-care to bring yourself back to yourself, which I guess in a way is grounding.
Yeah, the only thing that I do in this, I've done this always. After investigation, I never wear the same clothes. Like, I'm one of those people, I have to wash my face, brush my hair. I will get into new clothes, and I always, whatever I was investigating in, I wash it like right away because I don't want any of that energy with me. And so I will make sure of that. That's always something that I've done though. But I think that's more of a ritual for me. Like, it's done. The past is in the past. We're not taking anything home with us. The other thing too is I do have ground rules about like how much I'll investigate. If it gets too late, I'm not going to do it. I'm just not. There's a point that I hit where I'm too tired, like I'll tap out on purpose. It doesn't matter how much activity is happening because I don't want to lose myself in it. So there is a time where I'm like, okay, done.
Yeah. I think that's important too, to recognize it. Like you
love
have to
that,
be in the right mindset to do it. You can't just which stinks if you're paying for like a public investigation, or if you're hosting an investigation and you have no choice and you have to do it.
Yeah, no, I'll literally say I'm gonna go to bed now. You guys do whatever you want. I'm not. But because if I don't, it'll be too much. I get overwhelmed with it, and then I can't sleep, and then it affects me the next day. I don't know. It takes
What
a
do you
lot
think,
of
Stephanie?
energy.
It does.
Really, just after investigations, when we do debrief and we're talking and discussing, that helps me just like ground my energy and bring it back down, because just the conversation with somebody else is not like having me like focus and reach out with my energy, anything like that. It just pulls me back in and keeps me centered.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a few breaths and centering helps too. It's really all I need.
I'm the same as Heather. I'm everything comes off, it gets washed. We're cleansing that energy.
Yeah, I'm in it and then I'm not. There's no in between. Like, I don't know.
No, I get it. I've been seeing recently where people suggest like bringing snacks and things. So at the end, you can like engage in that snack and ground yourself back into reality. I thought that was interesting.
No, that doesn't make sense. I think sleep is my thing though. I want to just lay in my bed and be quiet and go to sleep. I don't know. But I'm a Pisces, and that's my thing. I like to lay on my bed. So,
What do you think? How do you like ground yourself?
See, for me, if I have a really positive experience and I don't have anything happening at all, I don't really have the urgency to do that. Now, if I had a negative experience, I think that would be a lot different. And there's very few negative experiences I've ever had in any of this stuff. But I don't know. I don't know. I think a shower would be good. Again, water.
yeah, it's the water. Yeah.
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 And then a lot of thinking. If I have an experience that has me thrown for a loop, so to say, I think I'd be a lot of thinking, maybe reading and looking up material on how to put together what I just experienced.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's grounding. That's probably just causing me more anxiety, but
I just thought of a good question.
oh boy.
Have you ever come to a point where you feel that you're like obsessed with what you're currently like exploring or experiencing or researching, and you're like, I need step away, I need to take a break from this and come back to it at another point when I feel like it's not consuming me?
That's really hard for me to answer. I don't know. Yeah, yeah, no. That's why I don't listen to paranormal podcasts. That's why I don't watch paranormal shows because I don't there has to be another avenue.
Like you separate church and state.
Yeah, a lot. I do actually, because I get really obsessive about the things that I'm working on or the things that I'm researching. I am definitely type A about it. Like, there's no going back. But when I do close the book, like, I don't want to even think about it anymore. So I guess I do have my ways of moving out of the energy because I read really stupid, cozy mysteries. Stuff like that. I read very for fun. I read super chill, easy to read, couple hour type of books. I don't want it to be complicated at all. I was talking to my therapist about that before, though. I have talked about it before, where sometimes it is hard for me to talk to other people because this is so much of my life. Like, I do readings, I do podcasting, I investigate, write books, now doing documentaries, right? So it is so much part of my life that people are always like, "Don't you do anything else?" And I'm like,
Hmm.
"What do you mean? I don't, this is it."
Yeah.
So sometimes it's really, and for other people, it is more a side project, or it's you have your people that just pay to go to the haunted place and they go on with their life. I'll pay for the haunted place, but then I'm going to do a dissertation on it. I'm going to write it in a book. I'm going to podcast about it. I'm going to find out more about it. And that is just the starting point for me. That is the experience that's going to propel me into 7 different other projects. You know what I mean? So it's not, it's just different. My way of looking. I'm not there for the experience. I'm there for the information so that I can do. Does that make sense? Like I could do something else with.
Yeah. It's like a launching pad to like your
Yeah.
next.
Yeah.
What about you, Stephanie?
So I go in cycles. I get really focused, and that is really all I do for a specific amount of time. And then I'll either come to a stopping point, or I will acknowledge, okay, I've got to stop. And then I'll pull back, and then I'll do something completely different. And then I'll come back to whatever it is when it makes sense, or if something else pops up. Yeah. So that's why I do so much now, and I'm so diverse in all of my projects, because I'll get really focused and then it's too much. So then I have to go do something else. And I get really focused on it, and then I come back and jump around.
What about you, Jody?
I mean, I get the ADHD hyperfocus. So I will fixate on one topic and just keep going with it over and over again. And just I'll be stuck in that space for months, weeks, days. I will eventually move on, but I have a very hard time with having multiple things going on at once. But I think my work schedule is part of that I can't get to the stuff I want to in life because I'm working like crazy. But yeah, I don't know. I think I don't really have a way of knowing when I'm getting too involved with something and to give it a rest. Like I said, I have that hyper focus, and it takes Gabrielle sometimes tell me to say, put it down, come to bed. We'll get to it another time.
I feel like you just said to me the other day, I'm trying to find it, how you said it, but you were like, or maybe I just need to take a break.
I did. I was texting her all day. That's what we do while we're working. Text back and forth. Not all day, but I was sending her all these ideas, all these things I was really going down a rabbit hole, and I just kept reading, and this branched off to this and that, and I said, I'm really getting into this. Like, I think I'm starting to understand. I think I know what direction we have to go. And I said, or maybe I just need a break. So it happens.
It definitely does.
Yeah. No, I get it.
That's all I have. I don't know if anybody else has any questions they want to throw out.
No, that was really interesting. Good conversation. Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of overlap.
Yeah.
Once again, a lot of overlapping concepts. We are in the same headspace, I think, which is really interesting. So
yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, just doing it in different ways, which I think is really important.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, it gets deep there. The waters are deep.
Yeah.
A lot of rabbits and then there are holes.
There is, and it's like always when you think you have it, you're like, okay, I figured it out, and then it's nope, we're gonna throw this over here, and I'm like, okay,
yeah.
Now what?
Yeah. What do you move on to next? But again, I think that's why all this stuff is like a great mystery, right? Because it wants to keep us going. It wants to keep us guessing. And I think it's just to keep us interested in interacting with it, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just super fascinating to me. And I don't know how we got to this from Bigfoot, but
it's all the same thing.
It is.
Sorry, I coughed, but it's all the same thing. I don't know. The more I look into it, the more I realize it's all the same thing. It just presents itself the way that I feel that it presents itself in the way that it needs to in order to initiate you into whatever transformation you're supposed to move into.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it.
And so if you need to see antlers and I need to see a shadow and she needs to see an Anubis, it doesn't matter. It's all the same thing.
Yep.
And someone else is like, I saw Bigfoot. And I'm like, that's great. I bet you we're all going through the same transformation though.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's interesting how that plays out.
It is.
Thank you for listening to the NVus Alien Podcast. For show notes, go to the website www.nvusalien.com. All of the reference materials and mentions in this episode are linked there. If you want more witchy, paranormal, and fringe content, please subscribe to my Substack. Just search Heather Ashera, that's Heather Ashera, or check the link in the show notes. And as always, see you on the flip side.